Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with us how I made this beautiful cowl neck top with sleeves. The first time we created this piece, we made it a sleeveless top with a chiffon fabric, as you're seeing here. So we decided to recreate this using this blue chiffon fabric. So kindly watch this video to the end to see the process of making this top. Don't forget to hit the like button, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. So guys, right here we already have our basic bodies drafted out, but I'll quickly explain this. But if you actually want a detailed tutorial on basic bodies drafting, we actually have it on our channel, so kindly watch that, okay? So right here I've already drafted my shoulder to my bust. Here's the shoulder to the waistline, then shoulder to the hem. This is the length of the top you actually want, your desired length. Then for the neckline, the width is 3 inches, while the depth for the back is 2 inches. Then the depth for the front is 3 inches as well, right? And I've gone ahead to rule that. Then I did my shoulder slant, I got my chest line, and I drafted my armhole. Then I placed my measurements in place, adding 2 inch, right? So for the bust, my bust divided by 4, I added 2 inch for ease, and I marked that. Same thing goes for the waist and for the hem. Then I went ahead to add the sewing allowance, okay, which is ½ inch, or you can make yours 1 inch. Then the alteration we're going to be doing right now is from the hemline. I'm going to be coming up by 2 inches, okay, so I'm going to be marking 2 inches right here. Then using my ruler, I'm going to be curving this, okay, so I'm going to place my ruler like so, making sure my curve is pronounced. Then I'm going to draw this line. So this is actually a style line for the hem of your dress, okay? If you actually want to leave it straight, of course you can do that, or you can give it this curve. It depends on what you're creating or the style you actually want to give your top, okay? Then you go ahead and add your side seam allowance at the hem as well. So the next alteration we're going to be doing is the front line alteration for the cowl. So I'll be drawing a line from this point to the armhole, okay? So I'm going to be ruling a slanted line. But if you actually want your cowl effect to be a bit deeper, you can come down by 1 inch from the bust point and draw this line. So it depends on what you want to create, but this is what I'm going to be doing here. So after we've done this, this is for the front panel. Alright, so when we are cutting the front panel, we're going to be slashing this and cutting out our neckline as well. Alright, so but for now we are going to be cutting out the back panel, and we're going to cut the back panel first before working on the front panel. So lest I forget, please remember to add your allowance for the shoulder, that is for your shoulder joining. So I'm going to be marking ½ inch around here. Then I'm going to roll this line. Also don't forget to add your side seam allowance for the hem, okay, while cutting this on your fabric. So I'm going to be connecting this line, then I'll go ahead and cut this out. So guys, this is the fabric we are going to be cutting on, and it's a chiffon fabric. And right here is my pattern paper. I actually made use of this pattern paper for the first version, that is the purple cowl neck top I showed earlier, right? So I'm going to be using it again for this particular purpose. Then for the fabrics, you can actually make use of chiffon, duchess, or silk, just any fabric that is actually lightweighted, okay, that will give you that proper fall. So I'm going to be folding my chiffon in two, then I'm going to be placing my pattern to cut the back panel. Alright, I've already done that, and I'm using my pin to hold or secure this in place. After pinning the fabric in place, I went ahead to add ½ inch hemming allowance, okay? So I marked ½ inch on the hem all through. So guys, the next thing I did was to cut out my pattern. And please don't be like me, I totally forgot about my hemming allowance. I went ahead to cut directly instead of cutting on my hemming allowance. So please, while doing yours, endeavor to cut on your hemming allowance, alright? So I went ahead to cut this out. So right here I'm removing my pins. So the next thing we're going to be doing now is to set the back panel aside and do our alterations for the front. So guys, for the front panel alterations, I went ahead to cut out my front neckline. Then after I'm done with that, the slanted line we marked earlier from our bust point to our armhole, okay, we went ahead to slash it. Then while slashing, make sure you don't cut it off totally, okay? So this is what it should look like. Then when you cover it, it comes back to normal. So I'll be setting this aside. I'm going to be folding my fabric in two, then placing my pattern on top. I've placed my fabric and my patterns together, and I'm going to be spreading it out like this. This is how the front pattern is supposed to look like. Then I went ahead to use my pins to hold this in place as well. The next thing I'm going to do right now is to determine the fall of my cowl. So for this, I'm going to be doing 5 to 6 inches, but we're placing 6 inches here, okay? This will determine how the cowl effect is going to show. The first purple cowl neck top I made, I actually used 7 to 8 inches for that. But for this, I'm doing 5 to 6. I actually use 6 inches here, okay? So the higher the number, the deeper your cowl effect. And the lower the number you're using, the lower your cowl effect comes out. Alright, I hope you actually understand what I'm saying. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is from the shoulder line, from here, I'm going to be marking a straight line to the tip of my fabric. So I'll go ahead and roll this line. So for this particular design, we're actually not using the neckline measurement. So unless you want to add a collar to yours, okay, so if you're adding a collar, all you have to do is just to cut on the neckline, then from the tip of your neckline you draw this straight line, okay? So, and actually note that if you're adding a collar to your cowl neck, that means you have to make your cowl fall a bit deeper. All right, so right now I'm going ahead to cut this fabric, and if you notice, I didn't add any hem allowance, because for the back panel I already made the mistake of not cutting on my hemline. So if you actually added your hemline allowance at the back panel, please kindly mark it here before you cut on the front panel. So we're going to be cutting this out. After we are done cutting the front panel, the next thing we are going to be doing is to cut out the facing for the front. So for the facing, all I did was to place 2 straps together. Can you see this? Then I will go ahead and cut out that rough edges because I don't actually need it. So while doing this, make sure you're actually keeping a straight line, alright? Then I'm going to be placing the front panel on top of this. Can you see this? So I'm aligning my fabric to make sure all the parts meet. Then I actually make sure the folded parts meet each other, both for the fabric and for the facing. Alright, then you can actually make your facing to be long enough to cover your armhole, or you can leave it in the middle, just anyhow you want it, but the main thing is just make sure it's covering your bust area. Alright, then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So the front panel and the facing is ready. The next thing I'm going to do is to set this aside, then proceed to cut the sleeves. So guys, I've actually gone ahead to cut the sleeves as well, and we actually made use of a sequin fabric, okay? So if you're looking out for a detailed tutorial on how to cut your sleeves, we actually have a sleeve pattern up on our channel, so kindly watch it to aid you in cutting yours. For the sewing process, the first thing we're going to be working on is the back panel. Okay, so I'm going to open this up, making sure I determine the front and the wrong side of my fabric. So I'm going to be making use of a bias tape to hem my neckline. Okay, So all I'm going to do right now is to place the first folded half of my fabric, of my bias. I'll fold it on the front side of my fabric, then take this to the sewing machine and sew the first folded part. I hope you actually understand what I'm saying. So I'm taking this to the sewing machine, I'll sew it, then flip it over. So guys, this is what we have here. Can you see how we've sewed it? Can you see this? Then I'm going to flip it over like so. Then I'll take it back to the sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch. So while top stitching, you actually want to stitch on the very close to your bias tape, just to make your stitches very neat. So let me do that right away. Can you see what we have here? This is actually very neat and clean. Okay, so once you're done with this, you're going to set this aside, then work on the front panel as well. Now for the front panel, we are not making use of a bias tape, we are making use of the facing we cut earlier. Okay, so I'm going to be placing this facing like so. Can you see the way I'm placing this? Then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to be sewing the top part. So 1/2 inch on this line all the way to the end. Okay, so let me do that quickly and come back. Having done this, can you see how it's looking like? The next thing I did was to notch on the sewed part. So I'm going to put my notches, then take it back to the sewing machine and top stitch. So guys, I've gone ahead to do the top stitch and this is how the fold is looking like. The next thing we are going to be doing is to take the back panel of our top, then place it the right side facing each other. I'm going to be placing the right side of the back panel on the right side of the front panel. Then I'm going to be bringing the shoulders together, then flip it over using the front facing. Okay, just follow what I'm doing here. I've explained this a lot of times on this channel, so it shouldn't be new to us. So I flipped it over. I'm going to be using my pin to secure this, take it to the sewing machine and lock it up. So guys, after pinning this is what our shoulder looks like. Can you see this? So when I flip this in the middle, this is what we have. Everything is being sewn between the front panel and the facing. Okay, now the next thing we're going to be doing is to use our hemming gum to hem the facing for the front panel. Okay, just so that our neckline is going to stay in place. Alright guys, right here we're done hemming the neckline for the front. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to hold the armholes together for the front since it has a facing. So I went ahead to pin this down and I'll take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this down. Alright, so this is what we have here. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to hem the bottom of my top with the bias tape. So can you see this? I'm going to be hemming this with the bias tape. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead to finish the bottom of my top with the bias tape, and this is how it's going to be looking like. And this is also how your cowl is going to fall if you followed everything we said properly. The next thing I did was to flip this to the back side, then I went ahead to stitch the side seam allowance. So first I'm going to make sure everything is aligning properly, then I'm going to be stitching 1/2 inch on both sides. Alright, remember the side seam allowance we left was 1/2 inch, so I'll stitch 1/2 inch, then I'll do the same thing for this other side. And this is what we have after stitching the side seam allowance. So you can just give this a good press to make all the side seams flat. Alright, so I'm going to be taking this to the mannequin to show you what it looks like. So guys, at this point, if you've seen this video to this point, that means you're really enjoying this process. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share these videos and subscribe to our channel. So this is what your cowl is going to be looking like. right now your top is 90% ready. If you actually want it to be a sleeveless top, all you have to do is to use your bias tape and hem the armhole. But if you want it to have a sleeve, please go ahead and attach your sleeve at this point. So I'll go ahead and attach my sleeve and show you the finished look. So this is what our top looks like after attaching our sleeves. Alright, so if you have any questions concerning this tutorial, kindly drop it in the comment section. You can also drop your suggestions as well. We are going to be there to answer all questions. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video. Bye.